What's going on, everyone? Trav here with Chaotic Strategies, and I want to welcome you back to part 3 on how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! The trading card game. If you guys are new to the channel, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and that little notification bell so that way you guys are always notified when I post new content. In today's how to play video, I'm going to be going over all of the different summoning options that we have in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That comes from monsters out of our main deck as well as monsters out of our second deck. So what I've got going on is just little quick mock-ups on some of the ways that we can summon. Now, there are so many different cards in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That allow you to do all of these summons that I'm about to show you today. So it all depends on how you build and structure your deck. I'm going to be using all cards from my competitive Dark Magician deck so that you guys can kind of have an idea on some of the effects to look for in order to special summon a lot of these cards out. So to start with, I'm just going to recap real quick on how we normal and tribute summon monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now remember, if you normal summon or tribute summon, you can only do that once per turn. So if you normal summon a monster, you cannot tribute summon that turn because a tribute summon also counts as a normal summon. Vice versa. If you tribute summon your turn, you cannot normal summon that turn because your tribute counts as a normal summon. Now again, there are cards that allow you to normal summon or tribute summon more than once per turn, but you need to be able to play those cards as well. So to start things off, just remember that we can normal summon anything that has a level 4 or lower, okay? And that's going to be our star orbs up here at the corner. We can normal summon those out onto the field. Now, cards that are levels 5 and 6 require 1 tribute. So in order to tribute summon, we would send our glass bell here to the graveyard, and then we can tribute summon, which is a normal summon, out our Dark Magician Girl, who is a level 6. Okay, so let's say we have both of them on the field. Anything that's level 7 or higher requires 2 tributes. So if we wanted to tribute summon or normal summon Dark Magician out onto the field, both of these cards would then go to the graveyard, and then we can normal summon or tribute summon Dark Magician out onto the field. Very straightforward, very simple. Now from here we move into our special summoning. Anything like your fusion summoning, your synchro summoning, link summoning, XZ summoning, that all counts as special summoning. And special summoning you can do as many times in your turn as you possibly can, unless your opponent has something that limits how many times you can special summon per turn. So moving into a few different special summoning options that we have. We can have trap cards like Magician's Navigation here. Magician's Navigation allows us to special summon a Dark Magician from our hand. And then we can also special summon another Dark Spellcaster monster from our deck to the graveyard as well. So one card can give us 2 special summons. So if we use that this turn, we're still open with a normal summon. So if we wanted to, we could normal summon Glass Spell and go from there. So there are quite a few trap cards in the game that allow us to special summon monsters. Doesn't have to be effect monsters. Obviously, they can be normal, non-effect monsters as well. Now there's also going to be quite a few monsters within the game that have effects that allow you to special summon them from their own effects as well, but you usually have to have some sort of cost. So, like Apprentice Illusion Magician, she's a level 6, we can actually special summon her from our hand, but in order to do so, we have to discard a card from our hand to the graveyard in order to special summon her out onto the field. Okay, and that's pretty straightforward. There's also spells that allow you to special summon from your hand or from your deck as well. There's just so many different options to go over. So those are just a few options that we can utilize to special summon monsters from our hand or our deck onto the field. Now getting into our extra deck monsters. Okay, if we have a Dark Magician on the field, we can use a spell card like Eye of Timaeus. Okay, Eye of Timaeus allows us to use a Dark Magician that we have on the field, and then Eye of Timaeus would act as any other card that we would need for the fusion material. So we can actually use Eye of Timaeus and Dark Magician to bring out a fusion card like Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. So on our fusion cards, it'll say down here what the fusion requirements are. So what cards that we would need in order to fusion summon this card out onto the field, where this one would be Dark Magician or another dragon monster in order to bring it out onto the field. Once this gets activated, we would send it and Dark Magician to our graveyard and then bring out Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. Now that's just one way to get into fusion cards. We could also use cards like our polymerization cards. Those are going to be your staple fusion cards, and there are a bunch of them. Okay, we have, you know, normal polymerization, super polymerization, future fusion. There's so many different cards that we can utilize in order to fusion summon our cards out of the extra deck. All of our fusion cards are going to have the purple border, and again, you have to make sure that you meet the criteria of the cards required in order to fusion summon them out onto the field. Okay, so the next special summoning base card that we're going to get into are the XZ Summon or XYZ summoning cards. These cards are very unique because they don't actually have a level, they have a rank. So if you're not careful or not paying attention, some cards that you play only affect cards with certain levels. And if your opponent has XZ monsters out onto the field, those cards don't affect them because they don't have levels, they have ranks. In order to XZ summon, again, we're going to have our listing down here on the requirements to bring these cards out onto the field. So like Norito, the Moral Leader here, it actually requires 2 level 6 spellcaster type monsters. So we have our 2 level 6 spellcaster type monsters on the field. So in order to XZ summon, we would actually stack them on top of each other and then bring Norito out either attack or defense position. So remember, when we special summon a monster, we can actually bring them out onto the field in attack or defense face up. Okay, so that's how we XZ. Anytime we XZ summon, we're going to stack, and the bottom cards then become what's called XZ's material. Now, a lot of the effects that these cards have, in order to activate them, requires you to discard a material off of them in order to activate the effect or negate whatever it is that that card does. So in order to do that, all we would do to activate its effect is we'll discard Dark Magician Girl, send it to the graveyard. Now Norito's effect can effectively roll through as long as it doesn't get negated in the process. And that's XZ's summoning. It's very simple, very straightforward. Just remember, when you XZ summon, your XZ's card no longer has a level now. You know, it still has our normal level orbs, but it is now considered a rank instead of a level. And that's important because there are a lot of cards that affect monsters with levels, but not so much as with ranks. So one prime example of that would be like Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. It affects cards with levels but not ranks. Okay, going into our next special summoning option out of the extra deck is going to be our Syncro cards. Now our Syncro cards require a special monster card to be on the field in order to Syncro summon, and that's going to be cards like our Wind Witch Glassbell here, and they're going to say tuner down here above the effect of the card. Okay, you have to have a tuner monster card out onto the field in order to synchro summon into a synchro monster. The other catch to synchro summoning is your levels have to match the same level of the synchro monster that you're trying to get out onto the field. So in this case, using these two Wind Witches combined, they're a level 7. Since Glassbell is a level 4 and Icebell is a level 3, we could, and since Glassbell is a tuner, we would effectively be able to special summon Wind Witch Winterbell. Winterbell has a level 7. Okay, so these two cards meet that requirement. And then it also requires one tuner plus one or more non-tuner wind monsters in order to get this card out onto the field. So just like all of our other cards in the extra deck, we have to meet certain requirements before we can get it out onto the field. Both of these monsters are wind. Combined, their levels are 7, and one of them is also a tuner on the field. So we meet all the criteria that we need to bring out Winterbell. So these two would then go to the graveyard, and then Wind Witch Winterbell could come out either attack or defense. Okay, so again, very straightforward, very simple. Just make sure that you meet the criteria and that one monster is a tuner and that combined you meet the level of this monster. And you could have 5 monsters on the field to use to synchro summon to meet the level criteria, and typically only one of them have to be a tuner monster. So you can use as many cards as you need or want to in order to synchro summon, but the levels have to match. Okay, and that's synchro summoning. Very simple, very straightforward. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to be going over how to link summon. Now, link summoning is one of the newest summoning options within the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a few years old now, but still it's the newest special summoning option that the game has. Now, our link monsters are going to be blue border, okay? And you're going to notice all the arrows around the monster, okay? So these, like I said in the very first video, are going to go up into our extra monster zones. There'll be one on each side of a normal game map, and those, one is for you to use and your opponent to use. So if you have one filled up, you cannot use the other one unless you create what's called an extra link, which I will get into in another video. So in order to summon a link monster like Sword Dragon here, his criteria is very simple. You just have to have 3+ effect monsters. So at least 3 of the monsters to get him out have to be effect monsters. You also have a number down here at the bottom. That's the link rating. He is a link 4, which means he requires 4 monsters to get out onto the field, which we have here. So all of our monsters here are link monsters. We have 4 of them. So in order to link summon, we would send all 4 of our monsters to the graveyard to special summon out Sword Dragon. The arrows are going to point to different sections depending on the card. So since his is pointing down to the left and then down to the bottom left corner, if I summoned him out onto the field, then if I wanted to bring another link monster out, I would have to link summon into the next zone that the arrow points to. Okay, so very straightforward with the links. They're pretty simple. If I had another link monster here and I dropped Sword down below because their arrow pointed down, now then I can link summon to the left of Sword and keep my link chain going as well. So that's link summoning, and there's a few different things that we can utilize with link summoning too. You can actually use other link monsters as well to link summon into another one using their link rating. So if I had a link monster that was a link 2, I could use that as 2 of the monsters to get into like a level 4 or into a link 4. So very straightforward. And the thing with link monsters as well is they cannot go into defense position. They cannot be turned sideways. They stay in attack position all the time. So the only other thing that goes up into our extra monster zones besides link cards are going to be pendulum cards. Our special summon pendulum cards out of the extra deck also go up here as well. You can no longer special summon them from the extra deck anywhere onto the board. They have to go into the extra monster zone, which I will get into in the next video. The next video I will be going over pendulum summoning and how to use a pendulum deck and just kind of go over all the different summoning options that pendulums have. So very straightforward. It's super simple. If you would like, I can go into further detail on how to special summon and summon monsters within Yu-Gi-Oh! The trading card game. There are some tips and tricks that you can utilize to either spam the field or have a field set up with nothing but negates. But that's more advanced gameplay, especially within the meta. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button, comment, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if there's anything that I missed out on that I can cover in the next video. Like I said, the next video is going to be all about pendulums and how to utilize a pendulum deck. All the cards that I showed today you can find at tcgplayer.com. I will leave a link down in the description box below. You hit that link, it'll take you straight to TCG Player. You can check it out. They have anything and everything from Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon. They have all the deck supplies that you could ever need, game boards, just anything for the hardcore tabletop gamers like myself and all of you viewers as well. I hope you guys are being safe out there. Be sure to wash your hands, and we'll see you in the next video.